podcast is a quest for well-being, a quest for a meaningful life through the exploration of fundamental truth. Enlightening ideas, insights on physical, mental, and spiritual health. The inspiration is love. The aspiration is to awaken new ways of thinking that can lead us to a new way of being well. Welcome to Body, Mind, and Soul Healing Conversations.
The foundation of true resilience is built upon mastery of 4 key types of resilience: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. To be truly resilient in all these areas, it is necessary to develop tolerance, endurance, focus, strength, and flexibility. It's impossible to control everything that happens to us in life, but we can control how we face unforeseen challenges. Rebuilding a life of self-awareness and emotional strength is possible with true resilience. In this episode, Valeria Teles interviews Teresa Bruni, the author of the Resilience Journal, Transcending Turbulent Times Through Journaling. Resilience journaling goes beyond recording your deepest thoughts and feelings. It also documents 9 critical areas of daily life that require attention if your goal is to achieve and maintain resilience and good health. Studies show that writing for as little as 15 to 20 minutes a day is enough to lower blood pressure, says Teresa. Teresa's work is dedicated to anyone who is undergoing monumental changes in the way they live life. To those who are saying goodbye to life as they know it while facing unprecedented changes and a future that is uncertain. Teresa's work has a dual purpose. The first is to assist you in maintaining your health and well-being by charting 9 key areas. These are the areas that require your daily attention in order to manage stress and promote good health. The second purpose is to document your experiences. Journaling helps reduce stress and records your experiences for future generations. While no 2 experiences are alike, all are significant. Teresa Bruni specializes in creating life transformations by incorporating a body, mind, spirit approach. She is on a mission to assist her clients in reaching for higher goals and living fuller, richer, healthier lives by identifying and breaking through the blocks that are holding them back. Teresa is a born teacher and is driven by her purpose to improve the lives of others. Teresa is a certified professional coach, CPC, a certified Energy Leadership Index Master Practitioner, ELIMP, a Psych K Preferred Facilitator, a 2013 eWomen's Network Premier Success Coach, author, speaker, and the founder of Less Fear, More Flow, LLC, and the 2020 Resilience Journal Project. According to Teresa, a great day for me is a series of attentive listening experiences in which I uplift others with positivity, enthusiasm, laughter, and joy. Here is the interview with Teresa Bruni.
In your own words, who is Teresa Bruni?
Teresa Bruni is a very strong individual that has overcome many life challenges and has spent a good portion of her life doubting her abilities. She has found her strength, and now she teaches others how to find that strength as well.
Sounds really good to me. And I'll be exploring that with my questions. So before we talk about some of the topics in your book, The Resilience Journal, Transcending Turbulent Times Through Journaling, I have a few warm-up questions, as I mentioned, before recording off record. The first one is, how do you define resilience? What is to be resilient?
Well, resilience is the ability to bounce back. Resilience doesn't mean we just put on a happy face and we pretend like everything is okay, because especially at a time like this, everything is not okay. So in order for us to have resilience, it depends on attitude and the ability to see what's going right as opposed to what's going wrong. And, sometimes we're still going to have bad days, but to be resilient is to just be able to lift yourself back up and face the challenges.
What is another word for healing, Teresa?
I think it would be actually two words. It would be self-love.
I love that. I have to use one of the words. What is the meaning of freedom to you?
Freedom means being able to fulfill my soul's desire. So being an entrepreneur and being able to do this work that I love, to me, that's freedom.
Yes, 1,000 times I can relate. At this time, what do you think is the world's greatest need? And what is your vision for a new reality?
I think the world's greatest need is love and understanding and true resilience. We really need to be resilient right now in all kinds of ways. There are different types of resilience that we can talk about as we get into the interview. We just need to love one another and be patient. There is so much anger and stress in the world right now, and you see it all over social media. And I think the biggest thing the world needs right now, and I believe it's happening, and that is integrity. There are a lot of forces out there powerful forces like the media that lack integrity. And sometimes some medical communities lack integrity. The pharmaceutical industry has been accused of lacking integrity. And that has led us to a pretty sorrowful place.
Wow, I love that too. So true, integrity. That relates to honesty, right?
Yes.
Teresa? Yeah, being honest. Speaking of love, what is love to you? How do you define love?
Love is that feeling that comes from that deep connection that I feel in my heart. Love is, it embodies an innocence. There's no judgment when you truly love someone. Love is not possessive. Love is free and kind and powerful. Love can heal.
I have two more warm-up questions. What, where, and who is God to you?
Oh, wow. That's powerful. Okay. So I've thought about this for many, many years, and I believe that God is in everyone and in everything. And I believe that if you take all the good in the world, you take all the good people and all the good energy from the animals and the planet itself, and if you could put that all together, that would be God.
Do you see a difference between spirituality and religion?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Religion comes with a lot of rules, and religion also comes with boundaries. So we know that, some churches say you can't do this and you have to do that. So those are boundaries. And I think true spirituality doesn't have boundaries.
And my last question, what do you think is the purpose of life, the human experience?
Wow, these are really deep questions. I believe we come here for the experience to help our souls grow. And I think it's a continual process that helps to propel the planet forward.
Yeah, yes, yes, and yes. So let's talk about your work. What is to be a life transformation master practitioner, and how and why did you become one?
Okay, so just giving you a little bit of background, I had a great corporate career and I was pretty successful and I was climbing my way up the ladder when I became chronically ill. And long story short, I ended up on disability for 9 full years. And I trusted that the medical community could get me well. I sought out some of the best doctors in the country. And 7 years into that journey, I realized that something was wrong. I realized that I was not getting well and that the doctors did not have all the answers for me. I decided I did not want to live that way and I was going to find my way back. And I did that through a combination of techniques. And that includes medical science. When we need an antibiotic or, if you break your leg, you need to go to the hospital and get it set. But I also learned that we have more healing power within us than we recognize. And oftentimes medical science will actually strip us of our power to heal, at least Western medicine. So I managed to take the bull by the horns and get well. And I've been recovered for 20 years. So I wanted to give back. I wanted to teach people what I had learned. I wanted to teach people that pretty much anything is curable if you use the right methods and if you dedicate yourself to doing the work. And so I got my life coaching certification and I was working with people who have chronic health conditions. And I still work with people who have chronic health conditions. But, 5 years down the road, I was having clients come back to me and say, I started to apply the techniques that you taught me to improve my health. And I have found that all areas of my life have improved. My relationships have improved. My financial situation has improved. And so what I realized, Valerie, is that I was helping clients create a life transformation. So I've broadened my scope of business to include a life transformation, whatever that may mean for a client. I truly believe if they want it, I can help them get there.
That sounds wonderful. So it's a holistic approach.
Yes.
It helps in all areas. What was the inspiration and intention of writing your book, The Resilience Journal, and also the 2020 Resilience Journal Project?
Well, when the coronavirus hit here in the United States, we had already seen what it had done in other countries, and especially in Italy, how devastating it was in Italy. And I knew right away that people needed to have emotional resilience. And as I mentioned earlier, there are different kinds of resilience. So you could be financially resilient. So maybe you've lost your job, but you have enough money in the bank that you can get through. So you don't have to worry about that. You might have relationship resilience. So you're in a really good, healthy, strong relationship. So you've got that. What the Resilience Journal is about is really emotional resilience. So, and we see on social media the anger and, oh gosh, the fear. I read people are just so fearful. I hear stories every day. A good friend of mine has a grandbaby, brand new grandbaby. He's been able to see her one time since the coronavirus hit because he works at the hospital. So he can't go to his son's house and potentially contaminate the environment. So there are all kinds of stories like that we're hearing. So the Resilience Journal helps clients to rate 9 key areas in their life that are necessary to be resilient. And it also allows them space to write about and journal about their deepest feelings. This is really hard. And, I practice what I preach. So I'm keeping my journal, and it's helping me to see by doing the rating section. It's helping me to see where maybe I need to do better with exercise and diet. And, one day I was journaling. I remember clearly it was a Sunday, and I was feeling especially sad that day. There was just an overwhelming feeling of sadness. And sitting down to write in my journal helped that emotion to surface, and it helped me to recognize that emotion. And when we allow it to surface and we recognize it, then we can deal with it. And then that improves our ability to be resilient. So that was that's why I wanted to create it. I wanted to help people maintain emotional resilience and to leave a legacy about this time, because, life is never going to be the same.
Yeah, that's what I heard. What is about writing that is so healing?
That's a great question, because we do know there is scientific research that proves there is power in the pen. So we know, for example, that if you're sitting in a class, handwritten notes are far more effective than notes taken on a tablet or a computer. So there's just, I'm not sure exactly how to answer your question. I think it is just that we have that pen in our hand, and it's almost like that tip of the pen is connected to our inner emotions. Also, a blank page is a clean slate for us to write anything that we want. It's like talking to yourself. It's like being your own best friend.
Yeah, that resonates. It makes a lot of sense. It kind of gives us the opportunity to create a new life or to see life differently. I love that. And also it seems like it creates also this trust, a space of trust, so we can say anything and expose the feelings without being judged. It's incredibly healing, isn't it, Teresa?
Yes, it can be. So, I was interviewed by another podcast host just last week, and she asked me, what if guilt comes up? So we talked about that. We are so hard on ourselves, and I see that with my client base. We can be so kind and gentle with other people, and then we just are so hard on ourselves. So if you are journaling and a feeling like guilt comes up, it's a great time to recognize it and acknowledge it. Guilt is always about the past, and we really can't do a lot about the past. The past is over. But what we can do is we can change the way we look at the past. If emotions like that come up while you're journaling, that's really a gift, because it gives you the ability to then recognize them and deal with them.
Yeah, I agree. It's almost like active meditation where we can see more clearly.
Exactly.
Yeah, you mentioned earlier self-love, and now kind of came to mind again when you said, I mentioned judgment, and we are so hard on ourselves. Do you believe in unconditional self-love?
Absolutely. We're all doing the best we can on any given day, and we all mess up and we all make mistakes,
True.
So
Yeah.
I recommend to my clients that they treat themselves as well as they would treat their own best friend. We cut everybody slack except for ourselves. And again, I said this before, we can be so hard on ourselves.
Yeah. And what a great practice, self-love practice, journaling. So let's talk a bit about stress. Are there different kinds of stress? And do you believe in such a thing as healthy stress?
Yes and no. I mean, they say that there is healthy stress, and I have read that without some sort of stress, we wouldn't be able to stand up straight. But I am an energy leadership master practitioner. That's the ELIMP that you see after my name. And with energy leadership, We talk basically about two types of energy: catabolic energy, which is draining energy, and that's where all your stress lies. So that would be any low-lying emotion: anger, self-hatred, doubt, fear. Anything in that arena would fall into the catabolic range. And then the anabolic range, the higher levels of energy, that's where your love, and understanding and compassion and your ability to look on the bright side. That's when we can turn on the healing response. And so that's why this whole project is so important. And it's so important for us to have resilience. We want to turn on the healing response. When we're in the low-lying energies and we're under stress, we're actually turning on fight or flight. And when fight or flight is turned on, our body is releasing cortisol and adrenaline, and that is undermining our immune system. That's why we know medical science tells us, that being under stress for long periods of time causes chronic health conditions. It's the number one reason people go to the doctor. The most doctor visits are stress related. So if we can find techniques to tone down that stress and turn on our immune system, step into those higher levels of energy, we have a better chance of surviving this virus.
Yes, I agree, because it has everything to do with the immune system, right?
Exactly.
How do we know when we are experiencing chronic stress? What are the signs?
You won't feel well. You will be irritable. You might be lethargic. Your digestive system might be irritated. It can affect even your vision. Your vision will blur if you're stressed. It just doesn't feel good at all.
Yeah, so it's easy to tell, in other words, it's not, if we are paying attention, right, Teresa?
Yeah, if we're paying attention. And as the problem, Valerie, is we have been so conditioned to live with stress and not recognize it. So that's part of the problem. People don't even realize that they have a choice, that there is another world that they can live in where there's stress. You're never going to have no stress. We are always going to have some stress. But the key is living in that anabolic range more often than you live in the catabolic range. Again, going back to the word resilience, this isn't about trying to make everything perfect, and because it just isn't. Life comes with its challenges. This is about doing the best you can and giving yourself the best opportunity to be strong and resilient.
That's a wonderful knowledge, right? Knowing what you said too just now about knowing that we have choices, that we can live a different kind of life. That is so important. So I have a lot of questions for you here, but let me skip most of them and talk about your book, the way it is formatted. The first page is about ratings, self-care ratings. And then the second page, we have the chance to write our thoughts and feelings. And then you have all these areas, which is, I love the way you have this here, areas of our lives: health, exercise, nutrition, fun, enjoyment, community, gratitude, spirituality, contribution, rest, and sleep. What I would like you to do, if possible, could you tell me, like, for each area, what would be the balance? Like, for example, health. How do we know when we are healthy? I have to ask you first, what is to be healthy?
I think we know as individuals how healthy we are. So for me personally, I don't really take any prescription medications. For the most part, I am healthy. This past spring with the pollen, I wasn't feeling very well. The pollen was getting to me. So on an average day, I would rate myself a 9 or a 10 because I'm pretty strong and my immune system is strong as well. When the pollen was bothering me, I would probably rate myself, a 7 or an 8. And if I have some chronic health conditions that I'm not monitoring very well, then I would probably give myself a 5 or a 6. And if I had a full-blown illness like a bad cold or a stomach virus, then I would probably rate myself somewhere between a 1 and a 3.
So, yeah, that's a good way of flowing with these topics. Like for exercise, what would you say 10 would be? Or maybe let's get more balance here, a 7. What would that look like for you? And then a 3 or 2?
Yeah, so exercise, that's going to vary for every person. I see a lot of people in my neighborhood walking. As a matter of fact, I'm working out of my home office these days, and I saw one woman walk past my house 4 times this morning, okay? So I think she probably could get a 10 for that, okay?
True.
Yeah, so, and of course, no exercise would be a 1. And again, it's going to vary based on the individual. I'm sure we have a lot of listeners out there who have disabilities, who probably feel like they can't really exercise. But I'll tell you what, you can always get in some exercise of some sort. So let's say a person is in a wheelchair and they don't have use of their legs. They could get some hand weights and they could do some exercises, with their arms. There's also passive exercise. And I know that will be a little bit more challenging for people. But if you are, let's say someone has a really bad case of fibromyalgia and they're just in terrible pain, getting a massage is what I call passive exercise, because you're having someone else manipulate your body. So exercise is all about getting the muscles moving and increasing circulation and blood flow to the body. And so if you can't exercise, there's other ways to make that happen, like getting a massage or going for some physical therapy.
Yeah, that sounds really good, the suggestion. I'm wondering if breathing can be a form of exercise.
Sure, absolutely, absolutely. The whole key is we want to get as much oxygen into our body as possible. So some deep breathing would be excellent. And we want to get that blood flowing. If you think of your blood, and I will say, I'm not a doctor. I don't have any medical training except for my own experiences. And, 9 years of being chronically ill, I spent a lot of time. Yeah. But your blood is like the oil in your car, and you want to keep that circulating and you want to keep that clean. And that in turn gets the oxygen all the way through your system. And that helps you to build a healthy body.
Yeah, it's important to move. That's the whole idea. Get the body moving somehow. Talk to me about nutrition. What would that look like? 7 and a 3 or maybe a 1?
Okay, so a good day of eating would be to make sure that you get your fruits and vegetables in. If you have a sweet tooth and you want to have a couple of cookies at night, that's really not that big of a deal. But if you have cookies for dinner,
yeah, I don't know about, yeah.
that might be a little bit of a problem there. So again, we know what good nutrition is, and eating healthy is just going to support your body. And fast food, packaged foods, not such a good idea.
I love the way you keep saying, you know, and that's true.
You do.
I love that. That's wisdom to me, because now you're tapping into, you said, I think on your website, you say intuitive knowledge or innate wisdom, right? We know. So true. And then fun and enjoyment. What do you do?
So for me, first of all, I live by myself. So this quarantining has been difficult, I'll have to tell you. So for me, fun and enjoyment, I connect with friends and family and have conversations like everyone else is doing, via Zoom and Skype. But also what I do for myself and I recommend to my clients is comedy. If you can get yourself laughing every single day. So we know laughter is healing. There are books written on it. There's so much that's available to us on YouTube. So my suggestion would be pick your favorite TV show if you watch TV, and then go out to YouTube and do a search for the bloopers and outtakes from that TV show. And I'm telling you, you will laugh so hard. You will laugh until it hurts. Now, when we do that, when we're laughing like that, it's impossible for us to feel anger or hatred or any of those low-lying emotions. So it's, again, you're raising your energy level. So it's important to try to do that at least once a day. So that's a really easy way to get some fun and enjoyment. I also enjoy working in my yard and, getting my hands in the soil and being close to Mother Nature. I like to, photography is my hobby, so I'm always watching the birds. Those are some examples of fun and enjoyment. And again, that's going to vary from person to person.
That's true. Do you also include journaling, writing?
I would put that under my spirituality.
Okay, spirituality. Okay. We'll get there in a minute. So the next one's community, but that I think you already connected that with fun and enjoyment.
Yeah, but it's really important. Let me just say, let's touch on community because it's so important right now when we are not able to touch other people. And again, science tells us we need that connection. We need the touch is so important. And we don't have that right now. So one of my friends she does a Friday night happy hour over the internet, which for her is alcohol free. So she talks with like 10 girlfriends on Friday night. I have another group of friends that does some angel card readings once a week. So these are different forms of community, and that is absolutely essential. And I also like to suggest to the listeners, if you know someone who does live alone, please be sure to reach out to those people on a regular basis because they're the ones who might be lacking community.
So true, Teresa. Yeah, that's a wonderful point. Yeah, that's so true. So true. Gratitude. This is a wonderful state of mind.
Yeah. So gratitude is looking at what's going right. I consider myself so blessed that I can work from home. I consider myself so blessed to have the technology that allows me to talk with you today. Gratitude is about appreciating all those little things that we usually take for granted.
Yeah, I know you separated them, but it's very spiritual to me, that state of mind of gratitude. So spirituality.
So spirituality, again, that's going to differ from person to person. That could mean prayer for some people. It could mean meditation. For me, it's a feeling of connecting to that source that is bigger than I am. And so I can do that by looking up at the stars at night and realizing that we're just a small piece of this amazing universe. That will send me right into spirituality. Also, meditation, journaling, anything that helps me to get in touch with my true self, I think falls under the spirituality column.
The true self. Yeah, I hear that a lot. Could you explain what it means exactly?
Yeah, so deep inside, we have this true self, and we often deny that true self. We may feel unworthy, or we may feel flawed, or maybe we have some handicaps, so we consider ourselves not perfect or not good enough. All of that is a lie. All of that is a lie. Deep inside, there is your true self, which is that piece of God, and it's true love.
And then we have two more. Contribution.
Yeah, so contribution is giving back. So that's what you and I are doing today. We're giving back to the community. You can do that in many ways. I mentioned one earlier, and that's finding someone to reach out to who may not have community. I've been donating some money to different causes. Anything that takes the focus off of us and puts the focus on another person or organization can be considered contribution. So one of the supermarkets near my house, I earn rewards as I shop, but I have to physically go to the store to redeem those rewards, which I'm not doing right now. I'm having my groceries delivered. And so they put an option on the website that allowed me to donate those rewards that I have earned to needy families. So that's contribution. Try to give every day, even if it's throwing some bird seed out to the birds.
That's cute.
If you say to yourself, how can I contribute to make the world a better place today? Suddenly, you're not thinking about yourself anymore. So that's why contribution is important.
Yeah, I love that, Teresa, right? The less we think individually and more collectively, more healing, positive change happen. And the last one you have here is sleep, rest and sleep.
Yeah. So there's a reason that I put rest and sleep. There are a lot of people who struggle with sleep. I want to let people know that even if you can't get a good night's sleep, you can still rest and allow your body to repair. So when we sleep, we give our body the ability to shut down. We release all emotions, if we're lucky, and we fall asleep.
Yeah.
And we wake up relaxed and refreshed and renewed. Now, some people don't have that luxury because they have chronic health conditions or they have struggles sleeping. And so in that case, rest becomes very important. And so you could meditate. That's a form of rest. You could just simply close your eyes and relax. But it's really important to give the body everything it needs in order for you to be resilient.
Wow. In a way, sleep is basic. It's so fundamental, right?
Yeah, but some people struggle with it. So I'll just add that for some, journaling before bed is a way to put all those worries in that book and set it aside and have a good night's sleep.
Yeah, that sounds really good to me. Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people already use the method. They are using it. You acknowledge only two genuine soul emotions, fear and love. So talk to me about that. Why only these two?
Anything that is not love is fear-based. So we can talk about someone who, let's say, people who are prejudiced against other people. Typically, that's fear-based. There's some sort of fear going on. Anxiety is typically fear-based. I'm afraid of what's going to happen. So we can just simply break it down to, if it's not love, it's fear, some sort of fear.
I wonder if there is a positive purpose to fear.
Well, when we go into fight or flight is an innate response that we're born with, and it's there to help keep us safe. So if you are out in the world, just doing your thing, running your errands, whatever, and suddenly you get that impulse that you're afraid, you need to listen to that inner voice, because something's going on and your inner voice is trying to tip you off that, hey, maybe you need to turn around and look behind you, or maybe you need to close your purse. So fear can be beneficial in that sense. It can also be beneficial if it's perfect example, when we stand at the edge of a cliff,
Yeah.
this feeling of fear comes over us. So that's when fear can be beneficial. But also it's important to recognize that fear and excitement can sometimes feel like the exact same thing.
That is interesting. And it's true. Like, excitement can cause anxiety, because now you're overwhelmed with this positive feeling and anticipation of whatever it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anxiety has to do with fear. So, but then if we are aware, it's also a sign that we need to change something. So in a way, we can use those signs or manifestations of fear to uncover some truth, right, about ourselves.
Absolutely. So depression is caused by thoughts of the past. And we talked about guilt earlier. So guilt can lead to depression. So depression is a result of thoughts of the past. I wish I had done that differently. Anxiety is caused by thoughts of the future. All those what if. What if it doesn't go well? Or what if I get this virus? Or what if this happens? What if that happens? So that's where anxiety comes from.
Yeah, the preoccupation with past and future. And then that's why everyone talks about when it comes to healing, being in the present moment. And journaling does that, exactly that. Yeah, grounds us to the here and now. Would you like to add anything, Teresa, or read a passage from your website or your book before I ask you my final questions?
Well, I forgot to touch on the 2020 Resilience Journal project, and you had asked me about that early on. So the 2020 Resilience Journal project is a Facebook group for people to come together and share their experiences. My goal for it is to be a very positive place, but also a place where people can come and say, hey, I felt really sad today, because it's going to happen. So if we can come together and recognize that we're not alone, that will also help us to build resilience. Now, there's no need to buy the journal. You can just go and sign up on the Facebook page group, and all those details you can find on my website, and participate and just come together.
So my final questions, how do you define success? What is to be successful?
For me, success is going to bed at night happy. It can't be measured with money or property. It has to do with self-love, healthy relationships, a healthy body. There's a saying that about you don't appreciate your health until it's gone. And I never understood that until I lost my health. And so I know now that if I have my health, I am a successful person, because that's the foundation of everything.
What was the hardest lesson to learn about yourself as of today?
The hardest lesson to learn for me was to accept myself and my flaws with unconditional love, and to change what I was able to change, and to accept the rest.
And that's the lesson that I think all of us needed to learn, or are still learning, for sure. If you knew you would die soon, would you change anything about your life or do anything differently?
I don't think I would, Valerie. I really don't. Yeah.
I like that.
Yeah.
I love that answer every time I hear.
Yeah, I don't think I change anything. I do the best that I can every day, and I try to put out as much good energy into the world. My work is very rewarding. It's difficult for me to even call it work because it doesn't feel like work. So yeah, I don't think I would do anything differently.
I love that answer. That's how we know when we are living the life we are satisfied with. And my last question, second to last, what are 3 things about life you know for sure?
Well, 3 things I know about life for sure is number 1 is we only have a limited amount of time to live. Okay, we all know that. We are all going to die, and I'm often confused by how our society chooses to view that. Other societies actually celebrate death, but in our culture here in America, we tend to wear our grief as a badge of honor. And that is a very catabolic energy. And so it concerns me when I see someone who is grieving for an extended period of time. It's not healthy. So we know that we're here for a limited amount of time. We really need to come to grips with the whole death thing, and life is what you make it. And in this world, whatever energy we put out tends to mirror right back at us. If you look at your world and it's not how you want it to be, then it's a great time to go look in the mirror.
And change ourselves, right?
Yeah, take that deep look inside.
So true. Thank you so much for your wisdom and your presence, Teresa.
Oh, you're very welcome. It's
my final question. Where can we find more information about you, your books, products, services, and future projects?
Well, you can just go to my website, which is my name, teresabruni.com. And it's TeresaBruni.com. If you're interested in the journal or the 2020 Resilience Journal Project, it's teresabruni.com/journal. And I invite people to look through my website. There are a lot of resources on there. There are books that I recommend. There are some free meditations. So, go there, spend some time and get re-energized, and let me turn your belief system on and convince you that you have the power to live any kind of life you want to live.
Yes. Thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Bye for now, Teresa.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. To learn more about Teresa Bruni, please visit her website, teresabruni.com.
To learn more about this podcast, please visit fitforjoy.org/podcast. I want to thank the Patreon members, Lawrence McGrath, Mark Basden, Terry Clayton, and Aidan Vickrock. Thank you again for listening, and bye for now.